Hey folks, I've been trying to think of a worthwhile video to do for you guys, and what I've thought of for a while now is what I've learned in my beekeeping journey. So, got my phone in my hand, that's where I got all my notes. So I started keeping bees in May of 2018, and it was really because I had a little mango orchard, and I was looking for pollinators. And I met a gal at a nursery who was a beekeeper, and she hooked me up with another beekeeper who kept bees at my property. And um, then he just didn't want them anymore, so he gave them to me. So, I just gradually, I bought my stuff and sort of figured it out and killed some bees and did lots of stupid mistakes. Um, So this is pretty much what I learned. We're gonna start right here. The first thing I've learned about beekeeping is I'm much better at growing mangoes. Having said that, if you're keeping bees, you're doing more than probably 99% of the rest of the population. Anything you're doing to help them is a good thing. So don't even hesitate to get into keeping bees. And remember, the bees are smarter than we are. They're really good at being bees, and it's rare that you kill them. Next thing is, man, always wear a veil. Like here in South Florida, it is so hot, man. Wearing the jacket and the veil. I've never worn a full suit. I'll just wear long pants and shoes, and sometimes I just wear shorts and a t-shirt. But you gotta have a veil. And sooner or later, a bee is gonna get inside your veil or inside your bee suit, and you're gonna freak out. But don't freak out, because the bee is not going to sting you. All the bee wants to do is get out of your veil. So just calmly walk away, take your veil off, take your suit off, whatever you got to do, rip it all off, let the bee out, put it back on, and continue on. So don't panic when you got a bee in your veil, but make sure you're wearing a veil. I would say beware of used equipment. It better be really cheap, or maybe you just are really in need of equipment that's already painted, and because you got to add supers or something. Otherwise, I really think you're better off buying new equipment, painting it yourself. It takes some time, but it's no big deal. And if you're in South Florida, I highly recommend South Florida Bee Supplies. All their boxes and frames are top quality. Speaking of buying used equipment, I picked up used equipment from other people, and it's from other vendors, and South Florida Bee Supply just has the best quality, and the prices are right in line, if not cheaper sometimes. So South Florida, if you live down here, it's worth it to go to those guys. And they give you great advice too. As for Gloria, let's see next. I had discovered that it seems like for a while I was giving more honey away than when I was selling, and then I came to the point where I realized I can't harvest as much honey as I can sell. So that might take a few years, but and it does make you feel good when you give honey away and somebody tells you, "Man, this is the best honey you've ever had." So it's hard to put a price on that. Very hard. Let's see. And if you do need if you're out of containers and you need cheap containers for your honey, 1 gallon water jugs of spring water work great. You drink the water, and then you've got a clean container by default. You can put honey in it. It costs you about $1.50. And then sort of going back to the honey thing, my goal in 2024 had been to see if I could make $10,000 beekeeping. I come from a business background, and it's just the way I look at things. And I've discovered that that's just a pipe dream in suburbia. I did have one apiary. I landed in Homestead last year, and I was so excited. I had like 10 colonies there, 12 colonies, I don't know. I got 2 jars of honey out of that. And I wasn't really doing anything different there than I was doing at other places. But I don't I don't know. My experience has been, if you can find uh, somebody with a yard in a neighborhood that'll accommodate, let you take care of bees there, that'll accommodate 3 to 4 colonies, and they'll all produce, and you'll get honey. But it's a lot more driving around. But that's what I'm doing now. I have bees in like 4 or 5 different locations, 3 to 4 colonies in each location, and it's worked pretty good. This year so far, I've got, I think maybe like 16 gallons of honey out of my first pull, to give you an idea. I mean, you're not going to set the world on fire doing that, but you know, that's been my experience for 2025 so far. Smokers, man, you need a smoker. And the first thing you'll learn about a smoker is the wind always blows harder when you're trying to light your smoker. But the other thing is, not all smokers are created equal. This is like a smoker from the interweb. It's just a basic, cheap smoker. Has a little, it's got a little, this one I don't even think has a can in there. But this one, which came from South Florida Bee Supplies, by the way, has this can. And it has this vented top. I don't know, man. These two things really make a big difference. I will also add that you really need to remember to keep these holes open. You'll need to use your hive tool every now and again to scratch the soot off there. I need to scratch some more soot off of it right now. But spend a little bit more up front. Get a good quality smoker like this one. I don't know what the brand is, but make sure it has that kind of can and that kind of top. And they make a larger version of this also. I just didn't find the need for that. I guess you might if you're really getting into a boatload of bees. What else have I learned? Man, I tell you what I've learned. The value of swarms. A trapped swarm. You should, everybody, man, you gotta have swarm traps out. Wherever you have an apiary set up, just have a swarm trap hanging in a tree. I swear by the gumbo limbo. If you're down here in South Florida and there's a gumbo limbo tree there, hang your trap in there. But I've caught them in other trees as well. The gumbo limbos is just what I do best with it. And I'm sure nationwide, you know, any tree, they say like 12 to 15 feet up in the air. But down here, man, it's not unusual for bees to move into water meters. That's ground level. And I've caught swarms in empty equipment just sitting out next to all my other equipment. So, you know, it is what it is. Bees in South Florida, they're all Africanized. Don't freak out about that. I think that's been completely overblown. They're not overly aggressive. In fact, best thing I've heard to describe bees and their temperament is bees aren't aggressive, they're defensive. So as long as you're not messing with them, they're probably not going to bother you. Shoot, I think I went a little bit off topic there. Let's see. The value of the traps. So yeah, okay, so now if you got a swarm, sooner or later you're going to run into one of your colonies that's either not healthy, maybe it's not queen right, maybe you've got a opportunity for a new apiary and you've got the equipment, you need bees, but you know, where are you going to get the bees? So if you've got that swarm, if you've got a weak colony, you can add it to the weak colony and just walk away. You know, 9 times out of 10, it's going to work. You don't need to be don't worry about all this stuff with, you know, the timing of it and everything. Just if you've got a weak colony, especially if it's not queen right, and then you've got a swarm that's queen right and strong, just combine them and walk away. And then it's just always nice to have free bees. So next, mentors. Man, I should have probably said this before anything. You know, I started with a mentor. You absolutely have to have a mentor, and I would say that one mentor isn't enough. YouTube is fantastic for distant mentorship, just to pick up things, but you know, depending on where you're keeping your bees, the region, some of the advice you'll get pertains to wherever that guy's keeping his bees, but is not going to pertain to you. You know, like winterizing bees, for example. There's just, you don't need to winterize bees in South Florida. I've also found that I don't know, man, there's never truly a flow like I have seen or heard people describe, you know, in North Georgia and the Carolinas, Vermont and everything. And it's just because there's always something blooming here. That's not to say there isn't a flow going on. In fact, we just got out of one. But it's not like, I don't think that bees down here get triggered on the feast or famine thing. Just my opinion. So mentor, and then the other thing on mentor, man, if you've only been keeping bees for a week and somebody asks you about bees, you can preface it by saying, you know, I don't know much about bees, but help them out with whatever question they have, because you know more than you think you do. And you'll also come to find out that you don't know as much as you think you do. Man, I've met beekeepers that have been doing it for 40, 50 years, and they're still learning. It's great. It's a really cool aspect of beekeeping. See here. So mentors. If you do decide you want to make money in bees, I mentioned, you know, my goal was $10,000 in a year off of honey, and I don't think I said off of honey, but that's what I meant. And it's just not happening. But if you do want to do it, and you're willing to do rescues, if you're willing to maybe take care of bees for other people, and you're willing to put in, you know, tons of time, you can make some money in bees. But then, you know, if you're going to do it legitimately, you got to get insurance and you know, all the driving, and I don't think I'm going to make any money. Just my opinion. I mean, you'll make enough money to, I don't know, buy a beer every now and then, but you're not going to get rich. One of the coolest things I found out about in beekeeping, I just watched it and I wanted to take a video of it, but I couldn't do it, was lizards eat beetles. Like, everybody hates beetles. You got beetle traps, and you got the Beetle Buster 5001 from Bug Farmer. If you haven't seen that, if you don't subscribe to Bug Farmer, you got to. The guy's great. He's got a voice for radio. But anyway, if you can see lizards in your hive or around your hive, leave them alone, man. They're actually helping you. Frogs, on the other hand, they're not helping you. They're eating your bees. You got to kill the frogs. And on that note, if you, when you set up your apiary and set up your boxes, if you can set them up on a concrete pad, it goes a long way to keep pests down. I mean, it's not going to eliminate them, but it's better than keeping them on top of dirt or grass. You'll definitely get fewer pests keeping them on top of a concrete pad. Let's see. Oh, and then sooner or later, you're going to get some colonies, and you're going to go downstairs, or, you know, go to wherever you are, and the bees are going to be gone. You're going to be, oh man, I killed my bees. But when you look close, you probably won't find many dead bees. There might be a couple, but you probably didn't kill your bees. The bees are so good at being bees, unless they're poisoned, they usually abscond. And that's another reason to have a swarm trap up, because if they abscond, they might abscond into your swarm trap, and then you didn't even lose your bees. You just got to clean things up, you know, get it back going again. And on that note, like, I don't think you really should get into your bees every 3 weeks or so. But if you can't, it's not that bad. But having said that, you should be at least monitoring your bees every couple of weeks. And by monitoring, I mean, you know, just walk, make sure there's bees going in and out, you know, they look healthy. Maybe you just lift the lid, peek in. And if you see something that doesn't look right, like, you need to get into them within a couple of days. And I'll get, what happened to me this past week, I had caught a swarm in some empty equipment, and me being a boneheaded self, I had set a nuke box out without any frames in it, and I just really wasn't expecting to catch a swarm. So of course I caught a freaking swarm, which is great, but I didn't really, I lifted the lid, and they had all attached to the lid, and I'm like, oh man. And I didn't have the stuff with me I needed, you know, empty frames and rubber bands to to transfer the comb. So by the time I got back with all that stuff I needed, it was about 7-8 days, and all the bees were gone, all the comb was gone, the honey was ruined. It was so terrible. You know, I was going to do a video on it, but it was just so nasty and so terrible, I didn't even want to show you what it's like to be a bad beekeeper. But I was definitely a bad beekeeper there. So the moral of the story is, if they have some sort of an issue, get into them and solve it, or try to at least. And so my notes just went away. All right, you know, my last thing, especially in South Florida, you're gonna have a wooden box, and you may or may not have a wooden top. A lot of people go with PVC tops, and they'll last forever. I really like to screen bottom board down here. For one thing, it's not unusual to find the beetles get knocked out. From what I understand, the mites will fall out too when the beetles do their, or rather when the bees do their cleaning. So it gets pests out of the hive. It helps keep them cooler. But if it's a wooden bottom board that has the screen, man, I'd say 4 years is the most you're going to get out of it, and it's just going to start rotting. It does down here. That's where all the moisture is going to set when it rains. So for $24, you can get a not PVC. I just said the word, but anyway, a non-wood screen bottom board, and I imagine it will last forever. The only thing I don't like about them is when I set my box on them, the box tends to slide a little bit, but after a while, you know, they get propolized and everything, and that's not even an issue. So the PVC screen bottom boards are definitely worth the extra couple bucks, in my opinion. I hope you guys got a kick out of this. Hope you're enjoying the view. I'm blessed. We've got a great place down here in the Florida Keys. I keep bees down here, and I keep bees up in Broward County, for those of you who know the area. So that's zone 10B. This is, man, I think we're like 11A here. It's different, but the honey's great. The bees are great. So if you got a kick out of this, man, I'd really appreciate a subscribe. It goes a long way if you made it all the way to the end. If you got any comments, or if maybe you saw something here I mumbled about that you thought I should expand on, I'll do another video and expand on it. So with that, I am going to say over and out from beautiful downtown Lower Matecumbe, Florida.